Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Successfully Balanced podcast. I'm your host, Aria Bradley, and today we are joined by a very special guest called Hailey. She is just such a beautiful soul. I love her so much, and I'm so excited to chat to her. She is a wealth capacity expander strategist and also a bookkeeper, and we are going to be chatting all things nervous system regulation, wealth, abundance, and how to bring more into your life in a way that is really meaningful and you actually enjoy the process as well as enjoying when you get to the final destination. So I'm so excited to chat to her. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. If you do, then give it a rating on Spotify or like it if you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, I just hope you have the best time listening, and I really hope you can take away some really cool things from this. I'll also be linking a bunch of Hailey's links down below, so if you want to check out some more of her work or anything like that, then definitely go ahead and do that. But hope you enjoy, and I will see you on the other side. Hello, Hailey, and welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure our guests are so excited to hear from you. So I will not do the introduction, but I want to ask you. So you have saved $40,000, you've built a business, you have quit your job, lived in 7 countries, rock climbed in Malta, learned to surf, got your scuba cert, okay, anyways, and you still described yourself as not happy. What was that moment of realization actually like? So when did you go from thinking something is wrong with me to realizing that there was actually a name for the gap between the life that looks right and the life that feels right? So feel free to walk through a bit of your story and those specific realization points.
Yeah, so I was a waitress for over a decade and I made really good money and I had a very flexible schedule and everybody was like, "Oh my God, your life is perfect. Like, why are you not happy? You have your own apartment, you bought all your own stuff, you're living life exactly the way you want to." And I was like, "No, I'm not." I was like, "I get that this might be the epitome of what people want, but this isn't what I want. I've just made the most out of what I have." So then I went and I was like, "Okay, I'm going to sell all my stuff. I'm going to travel the world. This is what I want." And then I started traveling the world and I was really lonely. It was the most lonely I had ever been in my whole life. I had this business that I was building. I had just gotten off birth control, which might have been actually running most of my decisions at the time. But I was like, I'm in all these amazing places and I have nobody to tell about it. Nobody wants to hear my stories. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my friends and family, but it was more of like this is your life. This is what you're choosing to do. And they didn't understand it. So even when I'd be like, "Hey, today I went paddleboarding and then I went paragliding and it was the craziest day ever," they'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool. We've got to go grocery shopping. We'll talk to you later."
Yeah, I can
And
imagine
so,
how isolating that would feel. Oh my goodness.
yeah. So I was like, how is it that I can be doing all these amazing things? And I am proud of myself. But then when I don't have a community or a support system to share it with, it doesn't feel like anything. And that's when I realized I was like, okay, something else is going on here because this is what I wanted to do. But now that I don't have someone to share it with, it's not actually what I want to do. So is having someone to share it with more important? And that's when I started realizing, 1, the birth control, 2, my nervous system,
Yep.
and 3, just like, what is the life that I actually want to build? Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? Because I thought once I started traveling, I would be happy. I thought once I built a business, I would be happy. And so when you get to that moment of you get the thing that you've asked for, but it doesn't come with the feeling you hoped it would, what do you do then?
Oh, that's so true. It's sort of like the hedonic treadmill of thinking like, oh, as soon as I've hit this milestone, then I'm going to be perfectly satisfied with my life. And you hit it and you're like, oh, well, I don't feel any different. Like, let's just move on to the next thing.
Yep.
Yeah, damn. That's interesting. Yeah, wow. And what would you say, having, like, if you were to go back in time, I think I'm probably going to ask this question again later as well, but if you were to go back in time and say to yourself just then, like, what's going on, what would you say to her?
That's such an interesting thing to think about. I don't think I've ever really thought about that. I honestly have no idea what I would say to me back then because I think she needed to go through that to get to where I am today. Like today, I live in New Zealand. I've been here for 2.5 years. My partner is Italian. I've wanted to speak Italian my whole life. Italy has been my dream vacation. I'm so safe here in the middle of the ocean, nowhere. Same, like everything crazy in the world is happening elsewhere. I feel truly lucky. I get to live by the beach, which is what I've always wanted to do. Like these weird little things that I didn't actually like knowingly plan for have worked out for me, whereas all of the other things that I've actively planned for
Yeah,
haven't necessarily worked out.
that's so interesting.
So yeah, it's been really fun and really interesting
Mm.
to change the way that I think about my life and change the way I think about my plans.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's sort of like, and I've been realizing this myself recently, is that sometimes you sort of like ask the universe one thing and it gives it to you just in a completely different way. And you're like, wait, this is actually what I needed, but I kind of wanted it through this route. That's so interesting. That's really cool. Yeah. So yeah, and I think as well, like saying that you wouldn't really have changed anything about it is sort of like, had to go through that to be where you are now, and that's really good. So
I think the biggest thing would be I don't know what. I love doing podcasts and I love talking to people, but for whatever reason when it comes to posting content about my journey and about my story, I was very scared, and I still kind of am, to share the fact that I was a solo female traveler. I love watching solo female traveler content and I
mm.
think that they are so brave. But for myself, I was told that I look like the chick from Taken when I was
Sorry,
young.
that's
That just instilled this fear in me of like, I can't tell anyone that I'm a solo traveler because what if X, Y, and Z? Um, so I just never really shared that story, and I've never found a good way to feel safe sharing that story except on podcasts.
interesting. That is so interesting. Well, maybe
Yeah.
it's a challenge for you then to figure out a format that feels good.
Yeah.
So I will have mentioned this in the start, but Haley is also a bookkeeper. So most bookkeepers do not do nervous system work. It's just not at all in the dictionary. So how do these two very different worlds collide for you?
It's so funny. So I love numbers. I've always been a numbers girly. I used to like balance equations in high school for fun. Like I was always like, teacher, can I have more homework? I was one of those.
That's so good.
Oh, it's so terrible. I graduated high school a year early. Like I was the girl that was gonna get it done. Thank you. Um, and then I grew up, I guess, and it's not fun sitting at your computer staring at numbers all day. I get satisfaction out of it, but none of my clients did. And I was like, that's weird. Why aren't you excited to see your revenue going up? Well, my expenses are going up. Well, yeah, girl, you invested to make more. Well, no, but I want to make more. Girl, you are making more. No matter how I would explain it to my clients,
Mm.
they were still telling themselves these stories of like scarcity and hustle, and there's not enough, and I have to do more. And when I make more, I spend more. And so even though they were achieving these milestones and these dreams, kind of similar to me in my travels, they
Yeah.
kept telling themselves this story that they weren't doing enough. I'm not enough. It's not enough. I'm not getting the feeling I thought I would get when I
Yeah.
hit this milestone.
Wait, so did you do bookkeeping first and then nervous system work?
Yeah.
Ah, right. Okay. In my head, it was the other way around, but that makes so much sense.
Yeah. So I started hearing like all these stories, and I was like, why aren't they believing me? Like, you
Mm.
hired me to be your bookkeeper. I'm telling you, this is what I see in your numbers. You are successful. You
Mm.
are growing. And they just couldn't see it. Like, I had a client email me the other day. She goes, Hailey, I just hit my first mil in revenue. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Where'd you see that? She was like, the report you sent me. And I was like, oh,
That's so good.
it's so good. But throughout these 5 years of her business, again, I've been hearing all of these stories of I'm not enough, I'm not doing enough. But she has no employees. She's done it on her own, and she hit $1 million in revenue in less than 5 years.
That's incredible.
It's
Wow.
incredible. It's incredible. And she wasn't proud until I like forced her to sit down and be like, this is really cool.
Hmm.
This is a milestone. And so that's when I was like, okay, your nervous system is a part of it. It's not just facts. It's not just data. It's not just logistics.
Hmm.
If it was just logistics, there should be a ton of people who don't have any money who have a ton right now, and vice versa. There should be a ton of people who don't have money who should have a ton of money if it was just based on logistics. But when your nervous system believes the stories that it's been told, I mean, you and I talked about this privately, growing up in a small town or growing up with parents who didn't have enough or who talked about money in like a greedy sense, or like only greedy people have a lot of money. When you villainize money, that's when you bring those stories into your business. You could be the best entrepreneur. You could have the best idea, but if you have a terrible money story, that's going to play out in your business.
That's so true. That's so true. I think we overlook that so much. I think, and something that I think we spoke about on the call is how like a lot of people are very focused on the strategy and making sure that they hit the metrics and hit all the tasks and everything. But it's like, okay, but that without the mindset and the regulation, it's kind of like it's not useless, but you just, when you combine them, you go so much further.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to talk more about the money and nervous system connection. So you say that the nervous system has a ceiling on what it believes it can hold. So can you break down what does a wealth ceiling actually look like in someone's day-to-day behavior?
Yeah, so depending on the nervous system archetype you have, so we've all heard of like fight, flight, fawn, and freeze in terms of relationships, but I don't think enough people talk about it in relationship to money. And so you can act in a fight, flight, fawn, or freeze aspect when it comes to your business and when it comes to finances. Someone who's stuck in fight is someone who is always willing to throw money at the problem. I don't care what it costs, just get it fixed.
Yeah.
That's someone who's a fight. They're like, I don't care what it costs, get it fixed. Someone who's flight is someone who's like, okay, well, we're going to try this method and this method and this method and this method. What can you do? What can you do? And they put too many things on their to-do list. And then they're like, okay, but how can we do it the cheapest? How can we do it this way? How can we do it that way?
Yeah.
Somebody who's stuck in fawn is like, well, what's the best option? Who's going to be the happiest? How do we make sure that nobody feels left out? How do we make sure that, and then someone who's stuck in freeze is like, I'm overwhelmed.
I don't know what to do.
I don't even know. I'm going to step back and hope that it solves itself. And that can look the same in sending invoices. That can look the same in not raising your prices. That can look the same in charging too much, not knowing why you're charging what you're charging. I think that there's this fun sort of, you get to choose your number as an entrepreneur. Like I've seen that narrative going around a lot where like, choose the number that lights you up. And it's like, well, great. We would all love to get paid this magical number that we just pulled out of our hair, like.
Yeah.
But when you break it down, what is it worth? What is what you're offering actually worth? And is it providing the value that you say it is? And all of these are important in your money story, because there are people who charge way too much for basically nothing. And there are people who charge basically nothing and give the moon and stars.
Yeah, that's so true. And I'm curious as well, I didn't have this in the questions, but sort of like one that I was wondering is that when you're looking at people's reports and everything, can you physically see where their ceiling is? Because the other day, like I have every single week I do an audit of my finances, and I was looking back over, there was quite a long period of time, probably like 8-9 months, where my income was the same, like every single week. Like I was still trying to like make more money, but I could see that there was a cap, and I was like, why? Like I remember I was like really straining there, and then you see just an instant jump where I'm like this, and I realized that specific time period was when I was like working on expanding and building what I feel like I can hold, and then you can see it physically on the graph. Do you find that with clients too?
Yeah. And when I point it out, that's typically when my clients challenge themselves and they're like, oh, I can do better.
Yeah.
If you don't know to look for it, like there are some female entrepreneurs, which I love them dearly, they don't want to look at their numbers. They don't care. They want to be very naive when it comes to their finances.
Yeah.
Because they believe that the number means something about their worth. And if that number isn't what they expect it to be, they change their behavior. Whereas the same is true in what you just said. You saw the numbers, you saw the pattern, and you changed your behavior to affect it in a positive way. And that's what's important.
I think that goes in so many contexts as well. Like I think sometimes we're like thinking about how last year when I was growing my social media, if I saw that I lost followers, I wouldn't post for like 3 days. And I'm like, well, that's not going to help the problem,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. Yeah. So really using that to your advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. And not being afraid of the number. I always say, I see your potential and I'm so excited to watch you grow. If anyone is trying to build up their confidence when it comes to looking at their bank account for whatever reason, whether you have a scarcity mindset, whether you believe that number reflects your worth, I challenge anybody to just open their bank account and say, I see your potential and I'm so excited to watch you grow. Because that's true whether you have $2 or $2 million. So you do have potential and you are excited to watch it grow.
That's such a good phrase. I'm going to start using that. That's really good. So in a similar way, so you have this powerful line that says like avoiding your finances is not a discipline problem, it's a nervous system response. Can you walk us through what is actually happening physiologically when someone avoids opening up their bookkeeping software? So you mentioned the fight, flight, freeze or whatever. Is there anything else beneath that?
Yeah, so attached to that is going to be how your body physically reacts. So if you go to open your bank account and you can feel that you are like holding your breath or your shoulders raise or you cross your legs and you start bouncing your foot, like there are so many physical tells to show that someone is uncomfortable or that they really don't want to do what they've been doing. And so when you have this relationship with money where you're basically scared of it, your body physically reacts. And when your body reacts, it learns that pattern and it continues to do that and time again. And so what I like to do is when I ask you, hey, when was the last time you opened your bank account? You're like, oh, a month ago. And I'm like, well, why was it a month ago? And you're like, well, because I wanted to da 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 da, and then something got in the way, and then every time I tried to open it, I got distracted and I walked away and da 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 da.
Yeah, there's like a little avoidance kind of thing.
Yeah, it's all these avoiding things.
Yeah.
So figure out where it's in your body, and then we move that tension. I call it, you know how like when you're young and you eat too much candy and you get sick, and then like the sight of that candy just makes you sick all over again?
Yeah.
I do that, but in reverse with good feelings. So we put the good feeling in your body first. We take away the bad feeling. We put the good feeling in without any words associated to it. And then once you feel better, we put the good words with it. And then now the words are associated with the good feeling.
Oh, that's so interesting. I feel like I've heard something recently that was about that. Like I was on this, I think it was a masterclass, and she was saying it was about selling and how your energy affects that. And she was saying like, if I say the word sales right now, like how do you all feel? And like, if she's like, do you feel tense? Do you whatever? And she was like, so we want to actually get you into like a good vibes when I say those words, like the word association. This is interesting because like I don't personally, like when I open up my bank account, I don't really have any emotions attached to it, which is good. But I do find a very, like what you're describing, a very similar thing when I open up my social media. And I can't really place what it is, but it's like I will avoid going on there, and I just like, even if I know I'm like, all right, you got to do it, you got to post your content. Like I feel in my gut, I'm like, no, I don't want to, because I'm just like scared of whatever's on there. I don't really know. I don't get it because I've been doing this for a year and a half. I'm like, surely it's not that scary. What would you suggest to someone who's feeling like that, whether that's their bank account or social media or whatever it is?
Yeah, it's important in those moments to open it anyway, look at it anyway. And then when you do, you have to reaffirm that nothing bad happened. I opened my social media and I thought I was going to see lost followers. I thought I was going to see, you know, a reel at only 20 views. I thought I was going to see whatever your fear is and why you don't want to open it. If you open it and that fear is true, your reel only got 20 videos, then you also need to reframe that like 20 people in a room watching you.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's also about reframing. And that's what I say about telling your body a news story. So when you're feeling that tension of, oh, I don't want to open it, figure out where you're feeling that in your body, kind of like shake it out, release that tension, and then open it and see if the bad thing actually happened. And if the bad thing actually happened, how can you look at it differently? I'm not saying this in like a toxic positivity kind of way, because I know that there's a lot of toxic positivity out there. Yeah. You are 100% allowed to be frustrated. You are 100% allowed to be upset. But what we don't want is that frustration and that upsetness to stay in your body and for it to completely change your view of your business. Because that's what I'm seeing is female entrepreneurs who are burnt out in their business because they let that feeling grow and grow and grow.
Oh, that's so interesting. That's so true. That's definitely, it's very easy to sort of get into I'm not sure if it's a spiral. I was gonna say cycle, but it's more of a spiral where you're like, this is bad, and then it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And then you're like, oh, this is absolutely terrible. And it's actually like, if we just stopped at the start, it wouldn't be that bad. Yeah. You say that cookie cutter financial strategies don't work because they ignore archetype. What tends to go wrong when a freeze type, for example, tries to follow advice built for a fight type, for example?
Yeah, so freeze typically gets very overwhelmed and then they don't want to make any decisions. They're afraid every decision is the wrong decision and they just won't make one. And so if you're trying to motivate them the same way that you would motivate a fight, they just shut down. And so if you're like, okay, I see your numbers, this is what's happening. I know for a fact that this person is great at Instagram ads. We're going to hire them. It's going to be great. You're going to do great. They don't care that what you just said. They're like, I'm so overwhelmed. Even though you've given me one solution and given me one path, they still won't move forward with that path. Whereas if you did the exact same thing with a fight archetype, you're like, I've already done the research. I've already worked with this person. I know that they're going to get you the results that you want. This is the investment. Are you ready to go? A fight archetype would say yes. And so when you give a whole group, so let's just say female entrepreneurs in general, if you're saying this one thing is going to help every female entrepreneur, it's bullshit. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Because what works for me isn't going to work for you, isn't going to work for so and so and so and so and so and so. And so when I say that I'm not cookie cutter, I truly want to understand who you are as a business owner. What is your goal? Why are you building this business? Who do you want to provide for? Do you have a family? Do you not have a family? Because I think that's something that other people don't talk about is, yeah, I have a client who has a family and she has to pay for childcare, and that childcare has to go in as a line item in her bookkeeping because she can't run her business without childcare. So somebody else who's giving the exact same service technically could charge less than her because she doesn't have that expense of having to take care of kids. And that's just the reality of life. Life is different. And so we have to build their strategies differently.
That's so interesting. That's so cool. And so you said this sort of at the start in your story, and also sort of more on the financial side, but you said that hitting an income goal and still feeling like it's not enough is a sign of something that is deeper, that it's off. What is actually going on in that scenario? So whether that was when you're traveling and things didn't feel right, or when people hit, the 1 million revenue and still don't feel right, what's actually going on?
Yeah, you've attached a feeling to an action that's not real. So a lot of people, when they think of money, like if I ask you, why do you want more money, Aria? What's the goal?
So then I can move out with my boyfriend and buy 3 cats and go traveling.
I love it. So freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you hit that revenue goal, let's say you hit the revenue that you thought you needed to hit in order to do that, and then you couldn't, would you feel free?
I feel, and oh my gosh, sorry, random side topic though, is that literally this morning, my boyfriend and I were talking about that, and we're like, okay, this is how much we need to save to be able to move out in X amount of years. And then a reel came through on Instagram saying that our city is the 4th most unaffordable city in the entire world. And we're like, okay, well, that messes things up because now we've got to save up double. So it's like,
Yeah. So when you set that goal and you're like, okay, this revenue will get me freedom. And then you get something like that, that then says, actually, that revenue is not going to get you freedom.
Yeah.
It's never about the revenue, but you thought it was.
Yeah.
And so when you hit that revenue and you don't get the feeling you thought was going to be associated with it, you then get disappointed. And when you continue to do that, when you create that pattern of, even though I hit the milestone, I don't get the feeling I thought I was going to get, you then stop setting milestones because you never reach them, or you just don't get excited about them anymore.
Interesting. And then so how do you feel good when you hit a goal then?
You have to actively choose to feel good about it. You actually have to, like I said with my client who we just realized hit her million. That wasn't something we were tracking. It wasn't necessarily something that we were like really looking forward to. She has grown her business 40 to 50% every single year for the past 5 years, which is crazy. And we were tracking that. But then when we did her whole 5-year spreadsheet, that's when we realized, oh, she just hit her million revenue. And when we realized it, we had to celebrate it. And I was like, okay, how are you celebrating? She goes, well, I didn't have anything planned. I don't care. Plan something now.
Yeah, that's true.
And she was like, well, I don't necessarily want to go out and spend money. Girl, you don't have to spend money to celebrate. Like, that's the funniest thing to me is I'm like, you don't have to plan like a whole Bali vacation.
Yeah.
Right. You just have to go buy a bottle of champagne or go dancing in the rain or jump up and down for 3 minutes. Like, but
that's so good. Yeah.
showing your body, showing your nervous system, this is a good thing. I am proud. I'm allowed to celebrate. Girl, even if you just got out of bed today. Like, I was sick last week. I was celebrating the fact that I got out of bed.
It's true.
And that's good for me.
That's so true.
Yeah, you just have to celebrate no matter what it is.
Well, yeah, because at the moment I've been documenting my journey building a 6-figure business for my new one that I launched like 2 weeks ago. And I think it would have been probably like 6 hours after launching, we hit 3 figures, which like, might seem like absolutely nothing, but I was like, oh my God, we hit 3 figures. Like, that's great. Like, that's amazing. And I went out, I took the train to the city. I bought myself a little brownie. I bought myself some candles. I put 3 candles on and lit it. Like, that was just, it made it really worth it. So that's so true.
Yes. And that's so small in comparison to how some other people, it just matters that you celebrate. And it just matters that you feel that feeling of excitement of like, I did it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. And even like sometimes if I hit a follower goal, I'll like post it on my story and be like, yeah, we did it. Thank you guys so much for being here. Rather than just be like, right, time for 10,000,
Yeah. Appreciating what you have and how it's building. Because I think a lot of people forget that the journey is the point. It's not the destination. Like if I was like, hey, I want to be a millionaire. And then tomorrow I became a millionaire, I'd be like,
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't really do anything to get there.
Yeah.
I just said I wanted it and now it's here. I guess that's cool. No, it's the journey. Like, how did I build that mill?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
That's true. That's so cool. Yeah. That's so good. So I want to talk about more like the bookkeeping, the practical side. So you do actual bookkeeping on QuickBooks Reconcile. I don't know what these words mean. I literally don't understand bookkeeping at all. But I'm curious to know, why does financial clarity matter so much to the inner work? Why can't you just do the nervous system piece without getting the numbers clean?
Yeah. So, like I said before, a lot of people think that the number is a reflection of their worth, whether that number is high, whether that number is low. And when we don't understand our finances, but we keep telling ourselves we want to hit certain revenue goals, you don't know what that means.
Mm.
What does it mean for somebody who sells a product at $47 to make $1 million in revenue? What does that mean? How many do you have to sell? How much do you have to, how much do you have to spend in advertising? How many contacts do you have to have? What's your conversion rate? Like, all of these things matter. And so I think this is why I said a lot of entrepreneurs that I work with want to kind of be naive about their numbers, because if I tell you, okay, to hit a mill at $47 a pop, you need this many clients.
Yeah.
That's a big number. Whereas if I just say, let's see how it goes, keep selling, your real challenge is, can you talk to 30 people today? Okay, you talk to 30. Can you talk to 50 tomorrow? Okay. And then where's your cap? If I keep increasing that number and then you're like, I can only talk to 30 people a day. That's the max I can do. Great. Now I know that's your max. So then how do we increase a different number? That's how we expand your capacity. First, you have to understand where your max is.
Yeah.
Just like when you said your revenue was the same and then you changed something and then it went up, you increased your capacity. But you had to notice it first.
Yeah, that's so true. I was actually working with a client and she has to send out like a certain amount of email pitches to different companies every single day. And she was doing, I think she was doing like 20 a week. And then she was working with a coach on that specific business structure. And he was like, oh, you're going to be sending 30 a day. And she like sent me a voice message. She's like, I don't know what to do. That's so many. Like, that's too many. And I was like, girl, like we're going to get that. It's just going to take, it's beyond your capacity right now, but we're going to be expanding it. So right now, focus on doing just 10 today. Tomorrow we'll do 12. Next day, and eventually you'll get there. And now she's doing like 50 a day and it's like nothing, So yeah, that's so true.
Breaking it down too, going from 20 a week to 30 a day.
Yeah.
That is a huge jump. But if you're like, no, we're going to do 10 today, 12 tomorrow, that's manageable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you describe your bookkeeping restoration as a shame-free zone. What do women's books actually look like when they come to you, and why is shame such a common part of that picture?
So the thing about bookkeeping is it is the categorization of your transactions, and that is both incoming and outgoing. So your expenses and your income. When you're not tracking your income properly, let's say you're not tracking the service fees, let's say you're not tracking what services it's going towards, don't have any of that data. And then when it comes to your expenses, like I just onboarded a new client. She had a bookkeeper before. They've never reconciled her accounts. And so on my end as your bookkeeper, I can see what QuickBooks thinks you have in your account and what your bank actually has in its account. Right. And when you don't reconcile, which is making sure that what is happening in QuickBooks is also what's happening in your bank, if you don't reconcile those two things, they can be different. And when they're different, it's because there's a duplicate. It's because that something didn't get recorded that should have been. It's because something was refunded, but it wasn't categorized properly. So when you don't have somebody who's keeping track of your bookkeeping, that stuff happens, and then your profit and loss reports are wrong. And if your profit and loss reports are wrong, you're going to be making the wrong decisions. And so it's kind of this snowball effect of making sure that you're calm and confident with your numbers, no matter what they say.
Yeah.
But once they get messy, it's really hard for anyone who doesn't know what they're doing to get it cleaned up. But it's one of my favorites. I love a good cleanup. I love when it's messy. Not that I want you to let it get messy, but if it is messy, I don't judge because I get it. I know how hard it is to run a business. I know you don't want to log in and say that your meal was 50% this, 25% that,
Yeah.
7% that, nobody wants to do that, but I do.
Well, it's good that there's someone out there that wants to, because I think you're definitely like helping a lot of people with this stuff they don't want to do. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's the most eye-opening thing that women discover once their books are finally clean? And then what decisions change immediately after that?
Yeah, how easy it can be. It's a huge stressor, and a lot of people don't want to pass off their finances, and I totally get that. When you are a female entrepreneur, you are deeply passionate about what you do, and handing the numbers over to somebody else can be really scary. But when you finally pass something off that has been causing you so much stress, it's been keeping you up at night, you don't know what your numbers are, you don't know what they mean. Whenever you try to ask a question, your husband talks to you like you're dumb, your accountant talks to you like you're dumb. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard of women just being like, I stopped asking questions because everyone kept making me feel dumb.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's sad. It's terrible. I'm like, girl, no, just ask me. I will give it to you in the friendliest way possible. Having them be like, wait, it's that easy? Wait, you can just tell me that I spent 40% on expenses and I need to get it down to 30? I can do that. Yeah, it can be that easy. When you're the one who's in it and you're trying to do all the calculations and you're trying to keep everything together, and you've got emails and you've got a baby crying and you've got your husband and you've got clients, it's too much.
That's so true. Yeah, even like this year, this is the most tiniest form of bookkeeping, but I basically have an Excel spreadsheet of all of my profits and losses, but in a not very formal way, and it's just Excel spreadsheet. And even just like every time that Canva charges me, I'm like, oh, gotta go put that in Excel and like remember like the conversion rate and like all the things. And yeah, it can be such a handful, but yeah.
Yeah, I know I have a client in Paris, but her business is set up in Wyoming. And so I manually input all of the exchange rates into USD. And she's not going to do that. She's already told me she's not going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's so, yeah.
I put on a podcast. I change it. It's easy.
That's so good.
Okay.
So this is more of the practical and tactical stuff that the listeners can hopefully take away and actually implement. So for someone listening who recognizes the pattern of rest feeling genuinely dangerous, like stopping means something will fall apart, what is the first small thing that they can do to start building evidence that it won't?
Yeah. My favorite thing that I've just discovered is you are an athlete. If you are an entrepreneur, you are an athlete. And if you're an athlete and I said, okay, Aria, I need you to go to the gym 14 hours a day, and here's your workout routine, and you cannot leave the gym for 14 hours and you cannot rest. Would you look at me like I'm crazy?
Like, what the hell is this? Like, I better be winning gold medal like every Olympic if I do that.
Yeah, it's crazy. But if you went to a real athlete and you were like, hey, we're going to be in the gym for 3 hours, then you need to ice bath, then you need to massage, then you need to sleep, then you need to eat, then you need to come back, and then we'll do 3 hours at the gym again. They'd be like, yeah, that's
true. Yeah, because it's all sort of part of the training, is even the rest is like part of it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so that's what we need to remember is it is part of the training. It is part of the business for you to rest. It is part of the whole process. You cannot burn out. Well, you can. You cannot keep going 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
Sitting at your desk, doing nothing else, focusing on nothing else. Are there times where you can have a ton of energy and you want to get through a launch and you need to be at your desk? Yes. Can you go years doing that? No.
That's true. That's interesting. And so then you mentioned that somatic practice and archetype work together. What does a session with you actually look like, and what is the experience of the client when you work on those things?
Yeah. So again, I try not to be cookie cutter. I do have exercises that I know work for different parts of the body, but I really tailor it to what you need. So if we do an exercise and it doesn't work for you, I give you a different one. If you have a story that I haven't heard before or a pain that I haven't dealt with, we're going to work through it together. But my thing is I never want anyone to feel shameful. I never want anyone to feel judged. And I never want anyone to feel like their problems can't be solved. And so when you work with me, I'm very understanding. I'm very calm. I can be a little sassy if you want me to be. But for the most part, I'm extremely flexible and I kind of match the energy of my clients. So if you're super bubbly, I'll be super bubbly. If bubbly gives you a headache, that's okay. I don't have to be bubbly.
That's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think my biggest strength, if I could toot my own horn, is I am super flexible. And it's not my way or the highway. It's your life, and I'm here to help you build it the best way that you can.
That's a really good philosophy, I think. That's really good. Yeah. And so you are also training or have trained as a Pilates instructor?
I am certified now. Yeah.
Oh my God, awesome. Congrats. That's awesome. How does movement fit into the wealth capacity conversation, and what does your body have to do with what you're willing to charge?
Yeah. So again, when we're talking about like the postures and the reactions to money stories or just to certain business tasks in general, what I found in Pilates is all of your muscles work together on purpose to keep your skeletal system upright. So if you are constantly stressed and your shoulders are hiked up to your ears, these muscles get really tight and they can actually like calcify, and then you're just like stuck like that.
Oh my gosh.
Same thing with your diaphragm. If you're only breathing in the top part of your chest and you're not breathing down into your ribs and down into your belly, your diaphragm gets weak, and then your posture gets weak, and then you get pain, and everything is connected. And so when we give ourselves the goal and the task of building a new business, and we're like, okay, this is going to be 2-3 years of my life, or this is what I'm going to focus on, everything else is going to become second priority, this is what I want. I love that. You're doing great. I love that you have the dedication. But if you're stuck at your desk all day and you're stressed and you're not moving your body, 2 to 3 years is a really long time for certain muscles to be underutilized.
That's true.
And then it becomes more painful and more difficult to fix it in the future. And again, part of training, part of being an athlete, is not just training one side. We're not just training our brains. We're not just training our businesses. We want our lives to be good across the board. I want a healthy body. I want healthy relationships. I want a healthy business. And that takes dedication to all three things. So if you're only focused on one, your body's going to suffer. Your relationships are going to suffer.
Yeah, that's so true.
That's what I really want.
This is a principle that I'm like really not hard on, but like when like a few years ago, I was very much in there like, okay, let me just grind this out, like whatever. And I would work 15 hours a day and hardly exercise, did not eat very well, and I felt terrible, completely burnt out. And so one of the core things now is that I do go for a walk every single day. Like today, just after this call, I'm going to have lunch, go for a walk, then get back at my desk and work. But it's actually also reminding me that I really need to get a better desk, because right now I have, you know, one of those, the little tables that are like sit stand, you can like put them up and down. I'm literally sitting on the floor looking at this, and it's not great long term because I'm literally sitting there like that with that posture. So I definitely need to fix that. But that's a very good reminder. I think a lot of us can get into that just mentally grind headspace, but just forget that you can actually have it all. And you're better, you do better at having it all if you do it all, you know?
Yeah, and you can be really efficient about it. Like I have a standing desk and sitting now, but I have a standing desk and I have a walking pad.
Yeah, that's
yeah, movement is important to me. And I found I don't have 3 hours at the end of my day to go for a walk long enough to hit 10,000 steps. But I can walk and type at the same time.
That's really good. Yeah.
And so finding those like little efficiency hacks, whatever feels good for you. If you can't walk and work at the same time, I'm not saying you have to, but if you can, it's a great way to habit stack.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's really true. That's really good. I have one as well in my study that I don't use because it's too dark, and so I can't ever do like calls or content because it's really dark. So it's like this is the bright side. But I do have one in there, and it has been really good. So yeah, that's good suggestion. Yeah. So this one's might be some harder questions, but I am looking forward to hearing answers. So I think this one probably would be one of my biggest questions. And like if I hadn't spoken to you properly, I'd be like, this would be what I would be thinking. So there's a real tension in your work between ambitious women who want to earn more and then also the message to slow down and regulate. How do you hold that? Do you ever encourage women to want less, or is it something like, how do you work with that whole, what's the word? Like you got two things opposing. Yeah.
Like dichotomy.
That word.
Yeah. So I think the biggest misconception is that when somebody is pushing themselves too hard, yes, a lot of people say, slow down, calm down, let's rest. My thing isn't about slowing down and resting. My thing is about optimizing. So if you think about it, if you don't give yourself a chance to have a break, if you don't give yourself the chance for your brain to think about something else, if you don't give your body a chance to move, The more tired you get, where you're not giving your body something that energizes it, something that gets it excited, the worse you're going to do. Like, have you ever been like so focused on a task and you're like, I just need to get this done. And then you're like, I can't do it anymore. You walk away for 5 minutes and then the idea comes to you.
Yep. All the time.
Yeah, that's what this is about. I don't want you to rest just for shits and gigs. I want you to rest so that you can optimize when you are working. Because again, you cannot exercise at the gym for 14 hours a day.
Yeah, that's true.
You can become the best athlete, the best entrepreneur by allowing yourself to work on all areas of your life.
I have a question actually. This is not in my list, but there's a job that I may potentially get, which is a full-time job, which I'll be doing on top of my content. And I have like a 1 day a week in the office job, and I have some afternoon client jobs and my private clients as well. How do you go about the topic of rest for someone who has like a 70-hour work week? Because that's pretty much what it's going to be in a few weeks.
Yeah. So you have to find the activities that energize you. So if you are someone who loves podcasts and on the drive to and from, you can listen to a podcast that energizes you, do it. If you are someone who loves carpool karaoke. If you drive to these things, you just have to find that thing that keeps you lit up in life. When the problem is when you're like, okay, I want to do all of these things, but all of them are pressure. All of them are like, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I have to get this done. Oh, this is the life I've chosen. That's when burnout comes in. But if you truly love what you're doing, or if you can find little pockets of doing things that light you up, that's what's going to keep you going. Like I make sourdough. Sometimes during my client calls, I'm like stretching and folding. I'm like, sorry.
That's awesome. I love how you use the word like what energizes you, because I think sometimes with the perception of rest is that we have to think it's always something that's winding down, but I think it's really important to think of like what's actually giving you energy. I think that's actually been a really big game changer for me. Like I know that when I go on my walks and listen to a podcast, I feel so much better afterwards, and it's not like rest per se. Like I'm not laying on my bed like with a face mask, but it's something that energizes me and it gives me the energy to do the other things. So I think I really like that phrasing. That's nice.
Yeah. I like to argue, so I'll come up with fake arguments with my friends. Like we'll just argue about nothing because I like to argue, and then I'm energized and then ready to go do something else. And everyone's like, "That's crazy," and I'm like, "It works for me though."
I had the most pointless argument once with someone, and we're talking about which numbers we liked best, and we're like, "Oh no, but 7 is like perfect," and they were like, "But no, but 8 is so much better." Like we literally spoke about that for like half an hour. It was so much fun. Yeah, it really does. It does energize you. You just get all hyped up about your opinion. 7 is just such a good number.
Yes, I love it.
Okay, so a little bit of a different angle now. So you mentioned human design in your content. This is a topic which I have literally only heard about like a month ago, so I don't know anything about it. But I do know that is a topic that it gets a bit of a mixed reaction in business circles, probably because it's a bit less professional. It's not, stats and whatever. How do you use it practically, and what would you say to people that are skeptical?
Yeah. So again, I'm going to use a personal story. My significant other is a strength and conditioning coach for Olympic athletes, and he is a projector. There's 5 human design energy types. And I am a manifesting generator. And kind of like I just told you, I like to argue. My brain works very quickly. And I like to multitask. If I only have one task in front of me, I typically get bored. That's why I like listening to a podcast, or I like doing something else while I'm working. I like walking while I work because it keeps me engaged. My significant other cannot do that. And it doesn't make sense in my brain because it's what energizes me.
Yeah.
And so when I'm speaking to another entrepreneur and they can't walk and work, if I was like any other coach and I'd be like, well, it works for me, so you better figure it out. Like I know it works for my energy type.
Yeah.
When people say it doesn't belong in the workplace, human design, I kind of laugh because most people can explain their needs. But if me as the authority comes in and says, no, you're wrong, you just need to walk and work and everything will be fine and dandy. But you're telling me I cannot think and walk at the same time because I'm pretty sure my significant other can't chew gum and time. Like it just is what it is. Then I'm not a very good coach. And I'm ignoring your needs. And so if I already know that, if I can do your human design and if I can say, okay, this is what I know about projectors, does this sound true for you? And they're like, yes. Then I'm like, great, now I know how to help you. If they're like, no, I'm like, great, let's figure out how to help you. But I never want to be like, my way or the highway.
Yeah. I like that. That's really important. Yeah. I want to ask more about that, but I know we've only got a couple more. The call's going to kick us off in 15 minutes. So I do want to look more into that because it is really interesting. And I think it would be cool to learn more about that. But you have burned out, you have moved countries, you have built something new, and you are honest that even all of that didn't fix it. So what was the one thing that actually moved the needle when all the external changes didn't?
The one thing that moved the needle was realizing none of it mattered unless I was happy. So when you give yourself this goal of, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to start my own business and I want to help other people, when it switches from something that you wanted to do to now something you have to do because your money's running out, because people don't believe in you, because your friends and family are saying it'll never work. When the fun gets sucked out of it, when the life gets sucked out of what you're trying to do, that's when people burn out. And that's when it's not worth what you thought it would be worth. And so when I was traveling, the travel was worth it. When I look back at my photos and my videos, I'm like, wow, I'm so happy I did that. But at the time, I was crying myself to sleep every night. I was so lonely.
Yeah.
I was doing all these cool things. And so it's important to know that they can exist at the same time. You can be really happy about something and really sad about it at the same time. But my thing is when the joy has left the thing that you've chosen to do, find a way to bring it back. And that's what this has been for me. Adding the somatics into bookkeeping has been me adding joy back into my business and realizing my business gets to be just as multifaceted as I am. Again, I'm a manifesting generator. I like to multitask. So my business is multidimensional. And I have to be proud of that. Some people don't get it. Some people come to my page and they're like, what is she even talking about? How do all of these topics go together?
Yeah.
If you stick around for 5 minutes, I'll explain. But if you don't have 5 minutes, that's okay too.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So you are now based in New Zealand, which is so cool. You are building your business and you are training. Oh my gosh. I might have read from your website that you were training at the time, but you've now officially trained as a Pilates instructor. What does a life that you actually choose look and feel like for you now compared to before?
Yeah, I love going to my Pilates classes because it's a different kind of coaching. My whole goal in Pilates is to push you to your breaking point, and my whole goal in somatics is to stop you from getting to your breaking point.
Yeah.
But I think it's really great. I mean, a quick little side note, when I was working in restaurants, I worked every position in the restaurant. And when I was working in the kitchen as an expo, and the expo is the person who organizes the food on the trays and then hands it to the server for the server to take it out, I got to be mean. I got to be mean to the servers. I got to be mean to the kitchen staff. And so I would schedule myself 1 day a week where I could be in the kitchen because I was allowed to be mean. Whereas every other job, I was customer facing and I had to be nice.
That's so funny.
But 1 day a week was important for me to be mean. And so I think it's important for everybody to realize about themselves is you're allowed to, because some people are like, Hailey, why would you get another job? You have a business. 1 day a week, I get to push people to their breaking point. 1 day a week, I get to see people sweat and swear at me. Like I have people who swear at me and it lights me up. It makes me happy. I'm like, yes, they called me a bitch today. Like, but if somebody said that to me in my business, it would probably make me cry.
That's so interesting. Yeah, as well. I think that's an interesting point because some people have said like, oh yeah, well I'm full time in my business, so why do you also have 2 other jobs? And I'm like, it kind of gives me a mental break because like now I'm not just thinking about the business. I can focus on someone else's problems, like someone else's project or whatever it is. That's really interesting.
I'd be curious to know what your design is.
I'm curious too. I'm gonna go do a quiz this afternoon or however. Do you have one that you recommend? Like, is there a specific quiz?
Yeah, myhumandesign.com.
Oh, let me just put it in my thingy. Myhumandesign.com. Okay, I'm gonna do that after. That sounds so cool.
And then send it to me because I'm curious.
Ooh, yeah. Do you have a prediction?
I think you're a Manny Jen. I think you're like me.
Okay. I'll take that as a compliment. So what do you want the woman listening who is performing brilliantly and completely exhausted to know is possible for her?
you can have it all without burning out.
I love that philosophy. That's so it aligns so much with what I teach as well, which is like you can do it and you can not burn out in the process.
Yeah,
I love
because
that.
I think so many of us believe if we stop, everything we have will fall apart. We have a lot of people that count on us. I think for a lot of female entrepreneurs, look at Cardi B. Her whole family freaking lives with her. Her aunts, her uncles, her nieces, her cousins, like
Yeah.
literally her whole family rides on her continuing to provide. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And so when you have that, what if Cardi B decides she doesn't want to rap anymore? Like, is her family going to step up and take care of her? Does she believe she's safe to do that?
Mm.
Do you believe you're safe to do that? Do you think your significant other will carry you if you decide this isn't the path you want to take anymore? These are important questions. And I don't think a lot of female entrepreneurs feel that they can.
Mm.
So if you get to the top of the mountain and you don't like the view, are you safe to climb down? And I think a lot of us don't feel like we could.
Mm. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm like so inspired by everything you've said. Thank you so much for chatting.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.